and that will definitely make sense to you because you'll be like, oh yes, that definitely makes sense to me now. So let's just create the main.go. Let's make sure we're in the same folder. Let's close this. Okay. So we're gonna create the main.go, and the main.go is gonna be relatively simple. At least I'm gonna try and make it relatively simple. So package main, guys, not CMD, because Golang runs package main first, so you need to make sure like you spell it correctly. Package main, guys. So we'll have a few imports here, but I hope it's auto import. If it doesn't, I'm going to be so sad. Package main, so the main function. So what we're going to do is we will first initialize the init array. So now you can kind of see the flow logically, right? So this is what we're going to do. So we'll create a variable called DOA, and we'll say plus equals to, so we're going to say repository. Okay, it's definitely going to auto import this time, guys. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. Wow. You see, like, it usually works, guys. I don't know why it didn't work previously. So what we're doing here is we are initializing our database and we're assigning it to a variable called DOA. And I've gone over the init function before, but let's just go over it again. Opens the Gorm, blah blah, imports. Like, this is how Gorm says we should do it, and you can then use this db.create to add stuff. But we're not going to add stuff yet, but we will add them soon. So we're initializing the database first. Now there are so many things that you could possibly do first, but this is just what we're doing first in this case. Let's make that clean. The next thing we are going to do is initialize our server. So server, I think we have an init function. So we're going to say my HTTP. Okay, this may not import, guys. It's not showing me HTTP. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Dots. I think it's called new server. New server. And this accepts the DAO, right? So we're going to go back to that function. So my HTTP accepts the DAO and it passes it into the DB variable and passes it to the handler. So it does two things with it. So the handlers also get access. So we are initting the handlers here on this call. So obviously I could have also created like an init handler call on the main.go, but this returns the handlers and I just wanted to do that all here as well. So it depends on your style, guys. With programming, like everybody has different flavors. So this is just my approach. I'm not saying it's the best, but hey, it's my approach, guys. So this, I think this needs a pointer, not the actual DAO. Let's just check that to be sure. Yeah, it works with the actual DAO as well, right? But the DAO it returns, it's the DAO return there is the pointer. Yeah, this is a pointer. And we need the actual DAO itself, so I think we need to do this here. So my HTTP hasn't imported, so I need to import that manually. So I think Go struggles with like nested packages. It depends, but Go mod is obviously getting better each day, so I can't even complain because I love Go so much. So let's just copy this again and go back here, fix the errors, make everything clean. I hate seeing those red lines. Make everything clean. Okay, crud dot my http my http the pkg, right, so that should fix that error. So yeah, so this returns the type of my http server. So this is what we have here. So initialize server, I'm going to put some init server, and I will kind of explain how we're able to create this object soon. So the next thing we're going to do is create a my HTTP server struct. Now this step is just for good practice. Most of the times it is definitely not required, right? Like most of the times you can just say listen as serve port HTTP, and just so actually I would actually just go ahead and do it and explain it later. So we are going to create a server. Actually, let's rename this to server, like a small server, and we're going to create the actual server, and I would explain what I mean. So this gets my HTTP. So this is actually like HTTP dot server. So this is a struct that actually exists, and it's part of my HTTP package. And I don't think I have to go over this specifically, but I will. So this struct has the address, the handler, right? And a lot of stuff that you can use to declare your server. On shutdown, on activate, you can declare a lot of functions. So it's usually best practice when you are trying to init a server to not just use the defaults. You can input a lot of other stuff and do things manually. Now this may be kind of confusing for beginners, but if you're not a beginner, trust me, it will make sense if you write the code. That's what I always say. So we're going to set the address here. We're going to set the handler. So now look, handler, if it's not available, it will run on the default mux, but we already have our server that we have created, so we don't want the default mux. We want our mux router server that we created. So that's what we would pass into here. So what we are going to pass into here is our server, and it meets the requirements of being an HTTP handler, because if we go back to the code, what it returns is S, and S has the self HTTP method, and anything that has the self HTTP method fits to be an HTTP server, right? But now the thing is that this struct just passes things down to the mux. As you can see, all this specific part of the function does is it passes things down to the mux. But The s.routes, which also gets called, is what now initializes our route on the mux router that we already have access to here. That's how it works. I hope this makes sense. So this gets called and it initializes all our routers on the mux server. And this is, and our self HTTP just redirects to our mux server. It's our mux that serves us. Hope this makes sense. Right, so that's how we're able to do this. We are not creating anything new, we're not doing anything like spectacular. If you have written a server before, this would make sense to you. So we're gonna pass the handler. So the next thing we're gonna do is just do the right timeout. We're gonna just say 15, then we're gonna use the time package. Time.seconds. This should auto import. It did. Nice. Then read timeout 15 seconds. Obviously this just to help us save our server. Obviously if you were pushing this to production, you would have your own specific timeouts for specific reasons, right? So that's obviously cool. And the next thing we're going to do is what we all know how to do, listen and serve. But before we do that, we're just going to print out something so we can know our server is running. So starting server, and I think we will try and run the code. I don't think it's going to break anything. Starting server at port 80, and I think that's all. And then we're gonna basically run that shit. So we're gonna say if error, and this is how we're gonna run this. So we're gonna say serve. Now, okay, chill. Server, which is this object. It has access to the listen and serve, right? Like the actual function as part of the stuff. So we're gonna say listen and serve. That's what's gonna call this object to run. And obviously our handler is being passed into our mux, which is here. And I've explained that already. So we're gonna say if error, obviously, so in Go you can use an if and declare at the same time. So we can say if error is not equals to nil, then we do something, right? It's not equals to nil, then what do? We just log. So I think that would import the log actually. Error. So it will probably import log. So, whew, guys, we're cool. That's clear. The terminal. Everything looks good, and I'm gonna try and run this code right now. And yeah, let's see how it goes, guys. So they're gonna go. So we need to cd into the CMD. So we're gonna go into the CMD, which we are in now. Yes, and we're gonna say go run main.go, and let's run it, guys. Yeah, I think I'll just like wait for that to run. Oh wow, error. Okay, okay, but at least the server got started. If we check here, we have our test DB. I know exactly what caused the error, but we're gonna fix it. So these errors were from the database, right? So there, yeah, I'll fix the issues, guys. But yeah, Iran, you can see. So if you got to this point, congratulations, you have completely learned how to use Gorm and how to build a full stack application. So clap for yourself. Okay, so